In this video, we're going to talk about why the Journey Home is so focused on veterans impacted by a natural disaster. So let's go.
A shed, everything in the shed was wide open. It ripped everything down.
The Vietnam veteran had no idea how he would get it all back together again.
You served us, now we're here to serve you.
They'll end their work here later this week, and then they'll wait and see where the next storm takes them.
Hi, I'm Eldon Solomon. I'm with the Journey Home. We are a non-for-profit organization that works to end veteran homelessness. We're asked very often how focusing on veterans impacted by a hurricane fits our mission. That's a great question. 22 veterans commit suicide every day. 37,000 plus veterans in this country are homeless. So why natural disasters? 1,400,000 veterans in this country are at risk of becoming homeless. We also know that a large majority of them suffer from a mental illness or a disability. Many of them live below the poverty line. And when we have a natural disaster like a hurricane or a tornado, those events will push that 37,000 homeless number higher and higher and higher. So if we can do something to prevent them from entering homelessness, that's what we want to do. We have a transitional facility that takes veterans off the streets and puts them into housing. Our natural disaster focus is on preventing veterans impacted by disaster from having to enter homelessness for the first or second or third time. Last year in 2020, the Journey Home responded to their first hurricane in Sulphur, Louisiana, just west of Lake Charles, Louisiana. I want to introduce you to Miss Gayland and let her tell you her story.
It was a lot of devastation, and it was very depressing and overwhelming to see all of this. And we just want to thank Journey Home for coming and helping us. If it wouldn't have been for them, we would have to do all this by ourselves. And so we just want to thank them, and we appreciate them. It made a big difference. And it will take, a lot longer if it wouldn't have been for Journey Home. And they are there to help people, to help veterans, and they were a godsend. And we'll never forget all that they have done. And we will get through this so much quicker, so much easier, and it's already a big change. It's a lot different than it was before they came to help, and we thank God for them, for sending them our way.
Well, it was our pleasure.
Well, we thank y'all.
Thank your husband.
Our heart.
Yes.
Thank your husband for his service.
Yeah.
I met Miss Gayland and her husband Gerald Jones while serving food in a food line. He is a Vietnam veteran and told us a story that he had a tree in his property that was not completely taken down by the hurricane and was leaning against a shed and was tipping toward their home. They lived outside of Sulphur, Louisiana in a double wide trailer. And we quickly started to introduce him to the resources locally, regionally, and nationally through veteran services and organizations and the VA. But their tree was their biggest concern, and the debris that was in their property was their biggest concern. So we worked with local authorities and local organizations to help them remove their debris and that tree from their property. And what's also fun about this story is that our social worker was able to sit down with Miss Gayland and her husband and go through their paperwork and help them start the process of enrolling in VA benefits. And this was really important because we found in the natural disasters that about 30% of those that we asked said they were veterans. And many of those veterans that we asked if they needed help said yes, but didn't know where to start. And so being able to sit down with having our social workers sit down with these veterans, especially Mrs. and Mr. and Mrs. Jones, go through their paperwork and get them started in the application process to the VA was really important. He told us that if we hadn't done that, he probably would not have enrolled in VA services. Thank you for watching this video, and thank you for listening to these stories. In 2020, the Journey Home responded to Hurricane Laura, Hurricane Sally, and Hurricane Delta. And we learned some things from that experience that we want to take into the 2021 season. Did you know, as of today, Hurricane Elsa has already entered the Atlantic, and in early July we could be experiencing our first hurricane for 2021. So we have work to do, and lessons that we want to learn from last year. Last year, we felt like we were a day late and a dollar short. We helped 55 veterans, and that's exciting, but we were frustrated. We felt like we got there late and we left too early. We never had a chance to really stay long enough or do enough to help veterans rebuild. We learned that the most important asset that the Journey Home has in responding to a disaster like a hurricane is you, our community. We learned that veterans are going to sustain their recovery if we can connect them to their community resources. But we also learned that in order for that to happen, we have to be more focused on helping communities and community organizations rebuild after a hurricane. So this year, we're going to respond sooner. We're going to go down as first responders. We're going to stay longer so we can do more to help communities rebuild their resources and their abilities and their capacities to help rebuild the lives of veterans. And we're not going to come home until we feel the mission's complete. But we need your help. Before we can even get started, before we can leave and deploy for our first disaster, we need to raise $25,000. We have partnered with 4 other national and international disaster relief organizations. Bell's Environmental out of Louisiana, Brownville Assembly of God Church in Pensacola, Florida, Carpenter House Global in Lillian, Alabama, and Radiant Lighthouse Church in Greenville, Ohio. So you can see, we're ready to go. All we need is you. All we need to do is raise that $25,000 so we can respond to our first hurricane. If you've enjoyed this video, please listen to and watch our next video. Right up here somewhere, you'll see a link about veterans at risk of becoming homeless.